So hopefully we will be back next Friday with a brand new video. Don't know what it's gonna be yet, but by that point Christmas will be over and we can just go back to normal.
Well, that didn't happen, did it? Hi, welcome to 2020, a good 16 days in. We are super not late to the party. So yeah, I did not get back to routine like I promised in my last video, because I thought once Christmas was over things would go back to normal, and that is not true because school doesn't start for me until the 22nd, which means my structure doesn't come back until the 22nd. Right now it's just work, and work is very random at the moment. I'm trying to find something a bit more stable. So I haven't had time to sit down and film a video. Also, I was trying to figure out what I was gonna do next. But now that I've got some plans in order, we can sit down and get stuff done, and structure will be returning soon, hopefully. This week, I finally finished High School Musical, the series. When I first heard the announcement for this for Disney Plus, one, I wasn't sure if I was going to watch it because I didn't know if my family would be getting Disney Plus. I had a feeling my dad would because he's like a hardcore Disney fan, but I didn't know if my mom would. But we ended up getting it here and there, so I can watch it wherever. And I finally got myself a Google Home Mini. Like, Spotify just gave me a random Google Home Mini. I'm not really sure why. It was like some promotion they were running. This is not sponsored, nothing. Like, I didn't strike a deal with them. They just sent me an email. And it was like people with like premium would get Google Homes like for a limited time or something. So I got a Google Home, and then I bought myself a Chromecast to go with it, and now I can like sync it to my TV and all this stuff. So I was able to watch Disney Plus like not on my phone. So I watched the whole series like up until like the mid-season finale, and then I watched the rest after the rest of the episodes came out. And I finally feel like I was able to compile my thoughts, my comments, I don't know, just my interpretation of this. And I know everybody was kind of on the fence when Disney announced this series, because everybody was like, well, what is it? Is it a sequel? What is it? So I watched it so you don't have to. So I'm going to tell you my thoughts on it, and then you can go watch it for yourself. If spoilers come up, I will let you guys know. That way you can plug your ears, walk away, do whatever. I will keep you in the loop. So, High School Musical, the series, is not a continuation of High School Musical. It is I guess a spin-off, but it doesn't follow any of the characters from the movie. It's about a group of teenagers who attend the high school where High School Musical was filmed, putting on a production of High School Musical, the musical. A new drama teacher is hired with this like expressed goal of putting on this show, and she apparently was a featured dancer in the High School Musical movie. I don't think the actual actress was in the movie, but I think it's a funny subplot. It's just, it follows like all of these like teenagers, like pretty young teenagers. I don't think any of them are seniors except for one. Putting on this show and all the drama that ensues. I mean, it's a weirdly shot show. Like, it's not a drama, but it's not a comedy, and it's shot kind of like a mockumentary, but if I had to give it a tone comparison, I'd say it's a bit like Glee. It's a bit like Glee, like just in the way it's filmed, and then they don't do voiceover like Glee did. They do like talking heads like Parks and Rec or The Office. So it's weirdly shot, and like they kind of point out a lot of the absurdity that goes down in this world that they're in. So I want to give a rundown of just like who the characters are. So the first character is Nene. I think it's spelled N-E-N-E. I thought it was spelled N-I when I first saw it, but then when they explain her name later on, so I was like, oh, it's just Nene, N-E-N-E. But she plays Gabriella in the musical, and she is like our female lead. She just came back from theater camp, because the show starts at the beginning of the school year, where she got to play her first lead for the very first time, and she sort of feels like she's coming into her own and finding herself. and she comes back and sees her boyfriend, who is Ricky, who's our male lead, and he ends up playing Troy in the musical. And she's kind of trying to explain this kind of awakening she's had and everything, and she finally tells her boyfriend that she loves him, and Ricky panics and is like, yeah, that's cool and all, but no, they end up breaking up. This is not a spoiler, this is like in the trailers. They break up at the beginning of the school year. So they break up over the summer, I think, right before school starts, and then they go to school and we meet EJ, who is Nini's new boyfriend, who had also gone to the theater camp that she had been to. He is a senior. He is a very typical, like, he's totally like an Instagram or TikTok boy. Like, when I saw him, I was like, you're such a stereotypical, like, TikTok, like one of those, like, really handsome guys that, like, do, like, meet and greet tours. Like, he's definitely that kind of guy. And he ends up playing Chad in the musical, even though he really wanted to play Troy. Fun supporting characters are Big Red, who I honestly, in the beginning, thought he was just going to be like this weird, funky little side character who would just be comic relief, and he surprised me every step of the way. Just so many hidden talents on this kid. He's adorable. Protect him at all costs. He was a fave. He like went to the top of my list. Loved him. Loved Big Red. He just works backstage. He doesn't play anything in the musical. Then there's Julia, who I also really, really love, and her, like, how she and Big Red play off each other is just, ugh, it was my favorite. It's my favorite ship in the show. It became, like, it just came out of nowhere, and I love it. Julia plays Miss Darbus, and let me tell you, when I saw her in the costume at the end for Miss Darbus, I was like, oh my gosh, perfect casting. This is so crazy. She looks like her. It was really, really weird. She has a killer voice. She sings in the very first episode, and I was just, like, blown away. Some of these kids' voices, very, very impressive. Love, love, love Julia. There's Carlos, who is the drama teacher's, like, right-hand man. He is the choreographer. He's your typical, like, theater gay. It's not explicitly said that he's gay, but it's very clear that he is. Good on Disney for that. Hopefully season 2 we'll get a bit more of it. Like, a bit more, like, solid, clear indication of that. The next character is Miss Jen, who is the drama teacher who was the featured dancer in High School Musical. She's cute and quirky. I thought she was gonna be kind of, like, over the top and, you know, comedic relief, but, like, to the point where it's not realistic, but she actually has a lot of heart, which I like, and she is grounded in certain scenes. So it's not, I believe that she'd be a drama teacher because of just, like, the quirkiness, but you believe that there, like, a person like this could exist. She seems to really care about the kids, even though, like, some of the reason behind her putting on this show is a bit for personal gain, but she really does care for the kids. And she defends them every step of the way, and when they're having actual problems, she listens. And I really, really like her. She was, like, a pleasant surprise. Then there's Gina, who is this, like, she's a sophomore, she's new to the school, and she's very competitive, very talented, and she's very used to having to, and it's interesting because there's an interesting kind of, like, character connection with her and Gabriella. She moves around so often that she's very used to saying goodbye to things, and she originally wanted to play Gabriella, but she ends up getting the role of Taylor, and she's not super happy about that. She's painted as the villain, kind of, in the beginning of the show, but as the time goes on, she just becomes much more well-rounded, and I definitely felt for her in quite a few, like, moments, and you sort of understand her reasoning behind a lot of her negative behavior, and I love that the theater club kind of accepts her anyway, even though she's kind of, like, bitchy in the beginning. And then I've got a few honorable mention characters. Seb, he's not, like, he doesn't have a major storyline, but plays Sharpay, which is great. He's Carlos's love interest, if you can call it that. It's a very quick little subplot they do, but it was very, very cute and very great. I think he's gay, but I'm not sure if they're trying to maybe make him a bit more, trans because he's a boy who really, really wanted to play Sharpay. I'm not really sure where they're going to take that. I'm very curious about season 2, and I really want more of him, and a lot of fans online really want more of him. Hello, son. The son wants more Seb. And Courtney, who is Nini's best friend, also has a killer voice and is one of the costume designers for the show. I think they're going to do more with her in the second half of the series in season 2. Just because they seemed to really set her up for that and kind of take her out of that sidekick role next to Nini and everything. So those are all the characters. Those are your players. Let's talk about the show in general. I have to say, it definitely took me back to my theater days, specifically my community theater days and my public high school theater days, not so much my performing arts theater days. Just the camaraderie and the pizza parties and like, just like, I remember being in high school and hanging out in the auditorium constantly. I can't say it was as positive of an experience all the time. Like, there was definitely a lot of negative experiences I had with my drama club, but that's a whole other story. But it reminded me of the good parts of that. It reminded me of just like that bond you have when you're all working together on a show and everything is going really, really wrong. And I just loved the kind of welcoming atmosphere. It definitely reminded me of my like early theater days where I was kind of a weird kid, and like theater club definitely accepts the weird kids. There's a lot of egos and stuff too, but you grow out of it. Yeah, it definitely took me back. There were some things about it though that seemed weirdly unrealistic to me as someone who came from like a theater background. Here's where the spoilers come in. I will try to put a timestamp when the spoilers stop. At the end of the show, there's like a lot of cast switching. I don't want to be too specific, but there's a lot of cast switching. Like, just like people switching out for like understudies, like randomly back and forth all throughout like the second act of their show on opening night. And there's no announcement. There is no like, they don't let anybody know. There's no notice to the drama teacher or to the audience. And there's just, when things mess up, there's a lot of like it's not handled very well. And I get that it's for drama, but all I'm thinking about is like the audience watching this who is not involved in all the drama, and they're going, what's going on? Why are they talking to each other? Like, because there's moments where they like cover up their mics and talk to each other. And that was like a big no-no when I started doing like theater, even school theater. They were just like, you don't do that. You just keep going. You make stuff up. You know, you do what you need to do to make the show go on. So I was very, very confused when like understudy comes out, but then like the guy comes back at the end, and then they switch, and all of the audience is like, wait a second, who's playing Chad? I'm very confused. So there were quite a few things where I was like, that's not good. And also at the end of the series, or the season, Nini is being scouted for a performing arts boarding school. So there is a woman in the audience who obviously has professional theater experience who is watching this show to scout her for this whole thing. And Ricky, the ex-boyfriend, tries to help her by basically screwing up the show, and ducking out from playing Troy, and I'm thinking that's not good because that's going to throw her off, and there was no notice for her. And then she freaks out and starts asking questions to EJ, who obviously takes over as Troy, and it looks very bad on her end. And the thing is, Ricky's so worried about putting on a good show for the scout when really all the scout is looking at is how Nini handles a show. It's not like, it's very, and I get that they don't know that and it's all part of the drama, but there were certain times where I was like, if she gets into this school, I don't feel like it would be realistic because she didn't handle herself super well in stressful situations. So I wasn't really like on board with that whole storyline. I was like, I don't think that would work. I don't think like she would be seen as like up to the task of being in a really intensive theater program. But that's just me. Maybe, I don't know. It's a TV show. It's not real. Another thing was just like, and this wasn't even theater related, there's a whole episode where everybody just ditches their family Thanksgiving plans. There were some kids where they had plausible reasons to get out of the house, like genuinely sneaking out of the house, and there were other kids who like just showed up and they all ditched Thanksgiving. Like they all had their like family things in the afternoon, and then they all just came over to this one kid's house for dinner. And it was a cute little party and everything, but I was just like, half these kids don't drive. And I'm very, like, all of these parents agreed to these kids just, like, ditching a holiday where, like, you're literally forced to be with family. It was very interesting. It all worked out in very weird ways, how they were all able to just, like, ditch Thanksgiving. It was, like, very, very weird. And then Ricky, as a character, I found, like, as much as I love him, there were just certain things that if I were in the drama club and he did this stuff, I would be so mad. He was constantly late to stuff. He wasn't following rules. He was just not being like, I don't think he understood is that his role is part of a much larger thing. So he kind of kept doing things for personal reasons, but sometimes like selfish reasons, and it all usually had to do with relationship stuff. I've been in a theater club where like relationship drama got in the way of stuff getting done, and it would piss me off to no end because I'm a person who likes to compartmentalize, and I'm like, when I'm in work mode, or in this case theater mode, like outside life stuff doesn't exist. I am taking care of me in the theater, taking care of the show, doing my stuff, and then I worry about all my like extra personal stuff outside the theater. I'm very much like that, and I know these are high schoolers and it's a drama show and it's like you need conflict, but like there were so many times where he's just like late to rehearsal, or they're not letting people know they're gonna be late, or they're not like, you know, their two leads are doing this and they're constantly showing up late, and all the understudies end up getting to like take over certain parts because no one's showing up. The only time I thought it was valid was when Ricky was dealing with stuff with his parents, and I think the teacher was right in giving him a pass on that. She was like, no, you need to be with your family, and clearly you're not in a headspace to work. Go take care of it. But like other stuff, like I lost my phone, was definitely kind of like, she was like, you can handle it later, you have to be here. Like, it's just, there were just certain professionalism things. There were just like some weird things about it that irked me, but overall, I really liked this show. At the end, I got like so attached to all these kids, like they feel just like, I'm very protective over them now, especially the girls, like Nini and Julia and Gina. Like, I just see myself, like, at that age, like, in so many different parts of them, and I'm very curious to see how they grow up and how they mature and everything. The one thing about Gina I wanted to mention, she is played by an actress whose name, unfortunately, I can't remember at the moment, but she was on Andy Mack, which is another Disney Channel show, which is very, very well done. Like, I am 22 years old, and my sister and I watched Andy Mack, like, almost religiously, like, wherever we could find it, because it wasn't available for streaming at the time. It is now, which means I can catch up. But it was a very progressive Disney show. And the character that the actress who played Gina played on this show is very similar to the one she plays in High School Musical, the musical. So I'm worried, like, she's a little typecast, because she's cast as someone who's competitive, very athletic, sometimes a little bit cold and mean. So I was like, I wonder if she keeps getting, like, typecast in this part, because I haven't seen her act in anything else, so I'm very curious to see, like, what other things she can play. In terms of season 2, I'm very curious to see how they're going to keep the High School Musical theme for season 2, because it's not like they can just do the musical again. Or I don't know if they're gonna just try and use like themes from the movie and put it into the TV show. I'm not really sure how they're gonna do it. Are they gonna do a different musical every season? Are they gonna do High School Musical 2, the musical, for season 2? I have no idea. And the kids are sophomores too. And EJ, I know, is a senior, which means he may not even be in the next season. So I have no idea what's gonna happen. Supposedly they are back on set again, I think, working on the second season. So who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? So if you want to watch High School Musical, the series, it is on Disney+. You do have to pay for it, unfortunately. So I'm really sorry if you don't have Disney+. But yeah, if you want me to do more like musical review series, I am watching another musical series. It's called Soundtrack. It's on Netflix. I do want to talk about it because I'm the only person I know who watches it and I'm obsessed. Like the first 2 episodes just made me start bawling. It was great. So next week, my video, I'm actually filming throughout the week. It is going to be like a vlog sort of thing, but it's going to be a little different. So hopefully that will go out on time. I'm hoping to get back to a regular schedule. It may not be the same day every week. I'm thinking about just making it like uploading at least once a week, but any day of the week, just to keep things a little bit less rigid. Cut to like 6 months later. Updates on videos or anything like that, follow me on Instagram. It's all of my contact stuff is down below, but Instagram is where I post most of the news about my YouTube videos, so please go follow me there. But yeah, hopefully I will see you next week. Go watch High School Musical, the series. Tell me what you think of High School Musical, the musical series down below, and I'm gonna stop saying that title because I'm gonna lose my voice. Okay, I will see you next week.